YouTube, hey, I've been creeping on you for quite some time now, and I've been thinking about it for a long time. I've finally decided it's time to bite the bullet and join in with the budgeting on YouTube. This is going to seem a little out of place because it is July. I've been working on this project for probably over a year, just not very well. But I did finally start writing my budgets in February. So I figured, there's some good success in them. Some people might appreciate seeing that. I know I appreciate seeing other people's successes. Um, and I know I enjoy binge watching people's videos when I find them because then it seems like they have a whole lot of success in a very short period of time. So why not post about 5 months worth of budgets in a week? Can't go wrong, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. There's going to be a lot of questions, probably because of how this is set up, that I will address in our debt-free uh, journey video that I will get to, after I go through these. The main obvious thing that you'll see is there's no utility bills here. That is because my husband and I, while it is faux pas in the Dave Ramsey circles, we have not combined our finances. I'm working on them. Hopefully in the future we will, but at this time we do not. So we do divide expenses in the way that I pay for the mortgage and he pays for utilities. So you won't see any utility bills. However, the majority of the debt are my student loans, so that is what I am currently working on. So I will go ahead and start with February. There are two sets of income here. I currently have two jobs. My primary is at an emergency veterinarian hospital where I am a receptionist and assistant, and I am paid bi-weekly. I had budgeted a little bit high at $1,300 for February, came in a little bit less than that, $1,241.99. However, I was also working part-time at a tax return office, one of the franchises, and while I only budgeted for $800 for the month bi-weekly, um, I actually worked more hours than anticipated and actually brought in $1,027.34. So overall, my income is up for February. Mortgage was right on exactly where it's supposed to be, $701.78, and auto insurance was exactly on where it's supposed to be, $75.42. Gas I came in a little bit under. I budgeted at $80 and only spent $78.33, so that was excellent. Animal food, pet food. We have two cats and a dog. That number might look a little bit high for some people, but I work at a veterinarian hospital, so I know the benefits of feeding good quality food. So all three are on a grain-free, and it can get a little bit pricey. But a coworker did turn me on to some good deals on a website called Chewy.com, where I was able to get some discounts for setting up an auto ship through them, as well as their prices are just generally lower. Shipping is free over a certain amount, so we got a great deal on that in February. Got all of their food, which lasts them several months too. The cats, it'll last them 3 to 4 months. The dog, it'll last at least 2, so at least it goes a ways. And miscellaneous, while I didn't budget anything, there were some expenses there. We do have a child. He was 3.5 at the time. He is now 4. We were going on a trip to see some family in Florida, and he needed some warm weather clothes, so there was some expenses there that were unbudgeted for, as well as a visit to my gastroenterologist that had to get paid for, so that's all covered there. So total expenses were a little bit higher than budgeted as well. I have a small credit card, $500 limit, nothing that's ever gotten me into a big trouble or anything. I chose to pay that down with the minimum payment because the balance was so low and the interest was so low that I wanted to focus on my student loans first. So I just made the minimum payment on that credit card, which was $30, bringing the balance down to $72.85. My big success for February, I was able to pay off my last student loan with Navient. The loan was originally for $5,500. I had been out of school since 2010, so I had been making minimum payments on it for about 5 years before I finally actually sat down and made my budget. But like I said, I'll get into that in a debt-free video in the future. But I budgeted that I'd be able to put $732.30 on that loan, and I was actually able to pay it off completely with $840.14, balance of $0. So that was very exciting. That was the first student loan I'd paid off in probably nearly 5 years, so very exciting there. On this one, I had expected to just make the minimum payment of $63.92. But I was able to put a little bit extra towards that, $233.92, bringing it down to $2802.40. I know the order doesn't quite look right here for the snowball, but these three loans are actually all lumped together and are one payment. So I figured I'd put them all together since paying this one off wouldn't make much of a difference, and I wanted to focus on these two smaller ones first. So this one is here. So the minimum payment was, $198, and whatever that adds up to was all made here, and all of that was made like normal, bringing the balances down to $380.06, $4,134.04, and $4,535.52. And then the last student loan is my private loan through Great Lakes. These ones are all federal loans. My private loan through Great Lakes is obviously my largest. The minimum payment is actually $271 and change. The story with that one is that I was unable to make the full payment when it did come due, and they wouldn't budge with it, so my option was either pay it or it went to collections. So my father, being the person that co-signed on it for me when I was in school, opted to, well, of course my father being my father, opted to pay the entire thing, but we compromised and we are splitting the payment up the middle. So I'm paying $136 and he's paying $135 and change. So that payment was made as normal, bringing the balance to $25,721.68. So the total debt payment was higher than budgeted for. Instead of $1160.74, it came to $1438.58, so that was very exciting, bringing my overall debt balance to $37,646.55. I know this looks a little bit funny here with a negative remaining, but in the beginning I was still working on there being some leftovers in my checking account, as well as digging into a little bit of savings that I had while we were taking some time off to go on said vacation. So it took about a month or so for this to start to sync up with what was actually in my checking account. So that'll start to look normal in the future. February was a little bit weird to start off. But that's my February 1st, or sorry, rather February 2016 budget. My first written budget was pretty successful overall. So if you like this video, if you stuck through it, I really appreciate it. I have a few more that'll be coming out here shortly. And hopefully some interesting things on this channel, along with some budgeting, some minimalism as well that's helped in budgeting, potentially grocery hauls, whatever would be interesting, minimalism tours, maybe things of that nature. So let me know down below what you think would be interesting, and I will see you all shortly in my next video. Thanks so much for stopping by.